Family owned and operated in Delta, home to the Four Winds Light Lager, a crisp, clean, and easy drinking beer. A beer for everyone, a perfect beer for before, after, or during the game, especially ones like last night. Ask for Four Winds Light Lager at your local liquor store or have some delivered right to your door through the online shop at fourwindsbrewing.ca. Let's bring him in, Dave Hall. Dave, what was your thoughts on last night's game? Where were you in 2011, and how much did last night remind you of 2011?
Last night, luckily, was one of the first games I've missed all year. Turns out it was a good call on my end. I just also got to say, just love the honesty by Talkit. I just love listening to his stuff. But yeah, luckily it was a good one to miss. And 2011, I was working at Dairy Queen and living in Victoria. So there it is.
Hell yeah. Did you watch Game 7 or did you have to miss that one too?
I have a bit of a story about it. It's a long one, so it's not for today, but I did actually end up downtown Vancouver very last minute, and it was one of the worst nights ever. So
might have to get you to write that for CanucksArmy.com, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a story, but
yeah, right.
I was there too downtown.
It was terrible.
Oh, I did know that. Okay, I did know that. I was at home in the gated community of North Burnaby.
Yeah, that's good for you.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a good time, but it was a good time being at home and all that. Okay, it's Tom Willander's birthday today, Dave. He's got 3 goals and 10 assists. I was looking at his Hockey DB page. He's playing with a top flight partner in Lane Hutson, if I'm correct about that. And he's on a pretty solid team. 13 points through 24 games for a top 10 pick. Are you at all concerned? Like, should Canucks fans be concerned? Because I looked at his Hockey DB page, and man, as a Hockey DB prospect expert, I'm alarmed by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just over half a point a game, which, so when he first came into the league in October, there's so many adjustments going on. He's got a new country, a new rink, new team, everything. You name it, he's adjusting to it. So there's so many justifications for him not putting up points, maybe having an off night. The nice thing was that his defensive game was on point. His skating is obviously phenomenal. He's aggressive as heck. So he's doing all the right things in that area. Now that we're trending towards the end of the season here, I think we're at the point where we are starting to look for a little bit more in the offensive department. Now, as you alluded to, he came back from Sweden. He was playing second pair of minutes, got a nice little streak there. He had a good 4-game streak of points, which was nice. Jay Pandolfo elevated him to that top line. And to be honest, we're all licking our chops when he gets on Lane Hutson's line. We're thinking that this is the progression we're hoping for. It's time to get that offense going, and we just didn't really see it. Overall, like, his decision making just hasn't really gotten there. His shot selection just hasn't really been there. Now he's actually been demoted again to the second pairing, which isn't very shocking. They had a pretty solidified top pairing of Lane Hutson and Case McCarthy, who played all last season. So it's not really shocking that he didn't make the cut on a full-time basis, but we definitely were hoping to see a little more. Are we worried? I don't think we have anything to be worried. The nice thing is on the defensive end, he's still his same old Tom Willander. He's aggressive. He's still doing everything we want him to. Now we just got to get that offense going. And, it's one thing, he has been very vocal about him trying to get that offense going. And so you got to wonder if maybe now it's a bit of a case of him trying to do a little too much. Maybe he's thinking a little too hard about that offense. So it'll be nice for him just to kind of settle in and just, kind of get back to his game. Now, the nice thing is next year, not only Lane Hutson should be gone, but 2 of their veteran defensemen should also be gone, as well as Lane Hutson. So by all accounts, next year should be Tom Willander's. Basically, the defensive corps should be his for the taking for all those minutes. And so if we're having this conversation this time next year, then yes, we're hitting the panic button. But I think just as of right now, it's an adjustment year. It hasn't been great, hasn't been terrible. It is, you're just hoping for a little bit more from an 11th overall pick.
Dave, you recently wrote about on Canucks Army Hunter Brzustewicz and basically making the point that the Canucks did well to sell high on him as part of the Elias Lindholm trade. Can you walk us through your thought process?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it just seems so counterintuitive to be trading someone that is on the verge of a 100-point OHL season. Potentially, he has been pointless in 6 games, which has kind of taken that, we'll see what happens. But I just think overall, he's a really solid defenseman. Like, don't get it twisted at all. Like, I hope I didn't put that out there to say that he's not a good defenseman. He should be, by all accounts, a top 4 defenseman. It's just there's a few things that still kind of alarm you in his game. Mainly just like you're wondering if he'll be able to keep up at the NHL level. He gets burned right now, especially on the pivot on the way back. He gets burned quite a few times being caught flat-footed, and so you can't help but wonder if that's going to compound at the next level. So in that sense, you were always kind of wondering if that was going to be a thing. And now, not only you think about his pathway, in order for him to be at his highest upside, he needs to be getting power play time. That's just the kind of player he is. And so I don't think Quinn Hughes is going anywhere in the next couple of years. And I think, Tom Willander is probably on track to eventually be in that spot. And so you just kind of wonder where he fits ultimately in the grand scheme of things. And so I just don't know if you're going to have a higher value than a 3rd round defenseman who's playing way above his punching way above his weight class, whether you're going to have a higher value. He may, you never know. That's the beauty of prospects. You never know. But I just think overall, in terms of his value, I don't think you're getting higher than 76 points in the OHL as a defenseman, in a 3rd round defenseman.
Okay, so we were throwing this out on a show recently, Dave, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because you're working on a top 10 for Canucks Army right now, right? I know I should know this.
Yeah.
But, okay, so top 10
Yes.
Canucks prospects, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're bringing that back. Harm and I were talking about this. I want us to have a new way to cover prospects. Instead of giving an NHL comparable, which I think is cheap, give the comparable of their ceiling and their floor. And yes, you can say everybody's floor is Olli Juolevi. That's what we discovered. Because I said everybody can become Olli Juolevi. Give a player's floor comparable and their ceiling comparable. Does that make sense? I
love it. I will say the one thing I hate about covering prospects, love prospects. I cannot stand the player comparable. I just don't think it makes it's impossible. So anyways.
So do you think this is an okay way to do things though, with a floor comparable and a ceiling comparable?
Yeah, I mean, and Olli Juolevi just being the bottom every time. I love it. I think that's great.
This is amazing. This is gonna be so this is gonna be the Canucks Army kind of model. This is our model. Don't take it, Harm. Tell your boy Dom to back off. This is our model. Our model is vibes, as is pretty fitting. And everybody is Olli Juolevi, okay? The floor is Olli Juolevi for every defenseman we give you. I'm gonna give you 3 prospects. I want a comparable for their ceiling and their floor. And I know I didn't prep you at all for this, but you were on the radio this week. You know what you're doing. So I'm going to give you number 1. Number 1, Aatu Räty. You can't use Olli Juolevi. You got to use a center. Who's a good center? Who's our floor center?
Some AHL guy. Aatu Räty.
No, our
current Aatu Räty is Aatu Räty's
No, Aatu Räty's not the floor. Tyler Madden is the floor. Can this person become Tyler Madden?
Okay.
So Aatu Räty, give us a floor and a ceiling comparable.
Oh boy, that's tough. You want a stealing comparable. I know where I have him in terms of where I think he'll play. I just don't know if I have off the top of my head a good player comparable. Oof.
What do you think he becomes at the NHL level? Like, do you think his ceiling is as a 3rd line center, or do you think he has that offensive upside to maybe be a 2nd, maybe 1st line center?
No. I don't, to be honest. I might get some hate for this, but I don't even know if I see him as a center. I see him, I can see him going back and forth, definitely. Like, he's a good face-off guy. He's great on, two-way. There's no questions about that. I just don't know if he has what it takes to be a top 6 center, to be honest. Like, maybe a 3rd line, but I just think ultimately he's had most of his success on the wing, in my opinion. And so that's a personal thing. I see him like full upside, 2nd line wing. That's what I'm putting him, pure upside. But I think more likely he's about a 3rd. I haven't seen a lot from him, especially lately. It's just been he hasn't popped out, let's just say, to me in the last couple weeks here.
Okay, we're not gonna make you do 3. We're gonna make people go to Canucks Army to read the rest of them, because I asked the YouTube live chat, for some questions from you, or for you, excuse me. And this one from Karan. Willander has had poor shot selection going back to his draft year. Does something have to fundamentally change in his offensive game, or is it just small adjustments?
Well, I think ultimately the issue is that he was just never really that player. You know what I mean? Like, he's a two-way guy. He's also been a forward for most of his life. So I think there's just a lot of adjustments that need to happen for him to get that offensive push. And so I don't know if it's just a small adjustment. I think it's just an overall adjustment to just playing that kind of style of hockey. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it actually is it's a small adjustment for the shots. I just think overall it's a bit of a bigger adjustment just as a whole.
Okay, Ty David, I think he might be asking this because his name is also Ty. He's asking for an update on Ty Mueller.
Oh, he's my guy. He, yeah, he's probably in terms of most I'll say shocking of the year, other than Sawyer Minyo. For me, it's been Ty Mueller. He's been amazing, to be honest. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say amazing. I really liked what he got. I know when he was drafted, he got some flack, and by all means, he was a double overager. So for him to go in the 4th round, there was, I think the question marks were a bit justifiable. I had concerns myself, but to be honest, he's been great. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He has that projection. Like for me, he's a Max Hassan kind of guy. He's a speedy water bug. He brings a lot of energy. He's got a good shot, and he's a workaholic. Like he works really hard out there. So overall, I've been very, very impressed with Ty Mueller this year.
I love it. All right, we'll save them. We'll have you back another time. Adam Morris, I wanted to get this in because Adam said this and it's directed at you. He said he loved the hit on Halford and Bruff and that you are very knowledgeable. And folks, that's why we have Dave on all the time. Dave, thanks so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate
it. I will make that. I'll do the floor and the ceilings piece coming up here. Well, I got a new idea.
Just include it in all of your top 10s. Be like, because you're doing the top 10 and you're doing honorable mentions over at Canucks Army. That's going to be up soon, folks. And for those that don't know, Dave writes at Canucks Army. You can go find all his ratings at CanucksArmy.com. I just think when you do the profiles, and I'm the boss, so I'm kind of telling you this. When you do the profiles, put a floor and a ceiling for each player. I think that's going to be great content. And hell,
okay, so
we could put in the titles just to screw with people. Well, I mean, not screw with people is the wrong word, but we could put like Tom Willander in the title. This is our headline. Canucks Army prospect report, number 1 or number 2, wherever you put him. It's up to you. Tom Willander is either going to be Ollie Olevi or Adam Fox. And you just throw that as the headline and see what happens.
Okay. And then we got Tyler Madden for the center and maybe a Reed Boucher for the wing or something like that.
Yes, Reed Boucher. Yeah. There's another one. Nikolai Goldobin. Well, Goldobin played NHL games. Anyways, appreciate it, Dave. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.